Hey everybody! Well, on the heels of building Weems for the second time, the cute little robot from the 1987 movie Batteries Not Included, I also have Flotsom here. Now, I got this from the same gentleman Andy Valentine, who is on Etsy. He has the files for all of these. And then another gentleman named Jacob is the one who printed these up. So if you watched my previous video where I built the second Weems, because I built two of them, the first one was a really rough resin kit, and the second one was a fantastic kit that was 3D printed. So along with the 3D printed Weems, I also got Flotsom here. So I'm going to be working on this guy. So these are beautifully made. I mean, you can see all the detail on these things. It's fantastically done. And I think they're exactly accurate to the original Flotsom. I was watching a video where a gentleman had the chance to restore the original Flotsom puppet. And you can see the details on here. Here's the bottom of this section. That's the bottom of Flotsom here. You can see how all of this is done here. You can also see the little antennas already molded in, or I should say printed in. These are his legs, very nicely done. And I'm not sure why they're in two different colored plastics, because this looks like it's all one piece, but it doesn't matter. We're going to be painting over all of this anyway. Both of these are really well done. These are the little surround that goes around his eyes. Now, if you look at the actual Flotsom, all these little details are in here that I think they were made by Industrial Light and Magic, and they just put little greeblies, probably just kit bashing little parts in there, and these are all very accurate to that. And then these are the eyes. Now, I'm not going to go crazy with this kit like I did with Weems, where I lit the eyes up. I'm just going to keep them opaque like this, and I'll probably just paint them, well, I'm not sure what color it is. I think he's got kind of a red rim around the outside, and then I'm not sure what color this is. I'll have to check. But I could probably get these made in clear and just light them up, but like I said, Weems is my favorite, so I kind of went crazy with him. These guys, I'm just going to just kind of put them together. These are his little arms on the side, and they just go in here. Everything's just going to probably glue together with some super glue, and this is his little tail that's going to go on the back right here. So, yeah. Really nice parts, really, really good. So not much to really do on this. I'm just going to do some cleanup. Like if you see on here, you can see how kind of rough some of this is. Probably where the supports were. And just kind of clean things up in general. And then I'm going to give it a primer coat. I don't know if I'll use any Panaline paint on this. He's mostly kind of got this bluish color to him. And then all of these raised areas are just copper. I think it's copper on there, if I can recall. All these little raised areas. So his paint job is really simple. He's only got the bluish color and then the silver. There's a little bit of, is it silver or copper? I think it's copper, and I think a couple of these are gold over here. I think these two and these two. So copper and the blue and the gold. I think that's all there is to him. There's not much as far as, any kind of crazy colors. Weems is the one that was really hard to paint because he had just a color on every panel. So these guys will be much easier. Alright, well I guess I'll get started on it now. Alright, so this is what I've got so far. I did all the cleanup on Flotsom here, put a primer on here, and then I got this blue going. Now, Flotsom's got this weird blue color. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like a washed out blue like you see here. The closest thing I could find to it is this stuff here by Tamiya. This is called, let's see, Intermediate Blue, U.S. Navy. So AS19 is what I used. I think that looks pretty close to the blue that is on him. And it goes, I like Tamiya paints because they go on so good and they dry fast. But I put a good couple of coats on here. And I put some on the inside too, because once you put this part on here, you're still going to see a little bit of the inside of this part, I should say. And let's see, I got his legs all painted. And I got these all cleaned up too. It was kind of hard cleaning up some of the areas in here because they were hard to get the sandpaper in these little tight spots. But I managed to get that all done. And then his little antennas and his tail are blue. There's going to be different colors on here. I think for his eyes, I think they're red. I'm just going to paint these red. And that's really all I'm going to do with the eyes. And then this thing here, the little surround, as I call it, that goes around his eyes. I was trying to find some Tamiya copper paint, and I'm looking at the hobby shop, and they have every other metallic color but copper, and I'm like, what is the deal? Well, it turns out that copper for Tamiya is actually considered, what do they call it? Metallic orange is what they call it. I have no idea why they call it that, but it's TS92, and that is in fact copper. So if you're looking for copper in Tamiya paint, it's called metallic orange. And make sure you get this TS92 one, because there's another one that has a P in front of it. It's like PS something or other. I can't remember, a P something. And I was talking to the guy at the hobby shop, and he said that that is not made for model kits. It's not made for plastic model kits. It's made for something else, and it won't work. So make sure you get the right one, the TS92. But it's a nice copper. It looks really good. It is kind of a metallic orange, but I think it looks good. It's kind of, you know, it's the closest thing I could find to a spray. So now I'm just going to start working on the highlights of Flotsom here. All of these little bumps and greeblies is just copper. He's just got all these copper highlights on them. So I'm just going to take the old copper paint, the bottle paint of Tamiya there, and then I'm also going to use a marker if I have to for the little really tiny areas, maybe these little bumps or something, or copper or something, or maybe those little ridges. I think I'll just use the marker for those. But there's really not a lot to do as far as paint. And then I think, like I mentioned, a couple of these things are gold. So I'll just use the gold paint for that. So yeah, not much to do on it. I think I will make some kind of a base, or maybe find some kind of a base for him that I can glue his feet down, because I'm not sure how stable he is on those. Alright, well, I'll show you what it looks like when I got all that done. I was rummaging around my spare parts bag, and I noticed I had a couple of these laying around from a previous project. So I'm going to go ahead and use this as the stand for Flotsom here. I'm just going to sand it down, put a little primer on it, and just paint it up. So yeah, that should work just fine. Alright, and here it is all finished now. This actually turned out pretty decent. So I painted it silver on this ridge, and then I just kind of, after it dried, I masked it off, and then just put some black on there just to kind of give it a couple of different colors, like a two-tone thing. Put a little sealer on there to make it even more smooth, and then just put a little felt on the bottom to make it a little softer on the bottom. So I'm probably just going to glue Flotsom's feet onto here. I'm just going to scratch off a little bit of this paint so that the super glue will stick better. Okay, so I'm starting to paint now, and the copper is going on nicely. Got the legs going pretty good. A little more copper needs to go in that little detailed area here, but yeah, this is turning out pretty good. I didn't realize there was so much copper on Flotsom here, but there is quite a bit of it. Let me see, there's also, where are they? The eyes. This is what I'm going to do with the eyes. I'm just going to paint them red with some purple around the edge, and then that way, when they are inside here, it's going to kind of give them a little bit of a kind of a purplish kind of look. They'll be sticking out a little more than that, but just that way when the shadow's on the edge, it kind of gives them a more interesting look. I thought that would kind of work out pretty good. Now when I was painting this, I didn't notice this until now, but I just noticed that this piece right here got broken when it was being printed. I think Jacob must have glued that on, because you can see where it was put together back here. And the only reason I noticed it is because of that line, because this side isn't like that. So I don't know, I think I'll try to put a little bit of putty in there and fill that in. I don't know about those details though. They may not fill in as good. But I'll see if I can try to repair it and make it look a little better. But oh, and also this this stuff here, I was using this brass Sharpie marker, or bronze, and I went ahead and ordered some copper paint pens, because the bronze is not the same as the copper, as you can see here. So I'll see if I can try to do that, because those details are really thin and it would be hard to put on with a brush. Alright, well, see if I can repair that, that little mess up right there. Okay, so I found these markers, chrome markers, on Amazon. And you get 5 in this pack. You get 2 of the medium tip, 1 chisel tip, and then 1 fine tip. So you get 5 of them in here. And they're pretty nice. They look like this. So they're just basically paint pens. I guess that's the name brand right there. And then it says that it's copper, but it looks way more gold to me. So I'll show you what I mean. So here is the top of Flotsom now. I got all of this detail painted in here, but see how that looks gold versus the copper that I used from the Tamiya, and then that's the gold Tamiya. But now what's interesting about this is if you look at these lines right here, see they look gold here, but if you tip them this way, see how they turn copper? Same thing with these. They look copper there, and then they look gold here. So it's a real weird kind of thing going on with the lighting. But that's fine. You know, I mean, if it looks gold, then it looks gold. I'm not. These details are so tiny and fine that you're going to have to use a fine point paint pen to do all these because there's no way you can brush those or mask them. God, can you imagine masking all of this? But yeah, I think that turned out really nice. Here's the bottom. And once again, you kind of get that copper and then gold effect. But I really like this. It looks really good. I finished this area, this eye section. He actually has these bluish kind of sections of the greeblies that go around here. Now, I don't remember if I mentioned this in the last segment of this video, but these aren't exactly correct. Those little N-shaped things look the same, and so does the thing next to it. But some of this up here looks a little different from the actual Flotsom. But I just kind of painted it as close to the original as I could see. And then here are his legs. So once again, we kind of got that copper that looks gold on here. But see all these crazy details on here? I mean, he's got a lot of really tiny stuff going on there, but it's really cool. I will say that once you paint him, it really brings out these fantastic details on him. Then I went back and kind of did some touch-ups where I may have overdone the gold where it went into the blue. Here's the other leg. Looks just like the other one. So yeah, these were pretty tricky to paint for those tiny things. Now the eyes here, I went ahead and put a gloss coat on these. Let me see if I can focus on this. See, I put a gloss coat on here because I think it's going to make his eyes look kind of cool. I was looking at Flotsom, and it looks like they just had these kind of clear, shiny domes for his eyes. Wish I could keep focus. There we go. And so I went ahead and just painted these with a gloss coat. Here's the other one. And I think overall, I'm going to go ahead and just give him a semi-gloss. I was going to put a dull coat on him because it looks like he's kind of got a dull coat, but in other scenes, you can kind of see light reflecting off of him, and he looks like he's got maybe a semi-gloss. So I'll do the semi-gloss, and then maybe if that looks too shiny, then I guess I'll do a dull coat. But if I put a dull coat on there, that's really going to tone down these nice metallic colors, because those pens have got some really nice metallic looks to them. But you know, he's not that, you know, shiny as far as his blue. Like what you see, the blue right there, that's kind of how he looks. But anyway, yes, I'm glad the painting is all finished. So now I can just put them all together, and then I'm going to go ahead and mount him to the little stand right there, and then I should have him all completely finished. All right, here he is, all finished now, and oh man, there he is, little Flotsom. Ah, this is really, really cool. So, as I mentioned before, you know, I mainly bought these kits for Weems, and then Flotsom and Jetsam came with it. Once again, these kits are from Andy Valentine on Etsy. If you look him up, I'll put a link in the description so you can check out his Etsy site. But he has the files to make Weems, Flotsom, and Jetsam, and I think he sells them for about $24. And then if you don't have a 3D printer, you can hit up Jacob. That's who printed these for me. And actually, Andy Valentine is located in the UK, so he may have other printers that he is, you know, kind of like in partnership with to print these, because he doesn't print them himself. Andy doesn't. But I think that Jacob did a really good job on the printing of this. But we'll get a close-up look at this little guy. I really like the eyes. I'm glad I went ahead and did that purple kind of outline on there. I think that looks really good. And having them shiny also. But you can see all these details look really good. Now, yes, they are gold, like I mentioned, but you know, you know, they should be more of a copper color, but I am actually fine with it. It kind of gives them almost a two-toned look, which I really like. And I did fix that that little damage that was in there. Remember I showed you how that was broken? I didn't do the best patchwork job, but it does look better than it did. It's kind of hard to sand, you know, in that kind of curved area, and plus you got all that detail in there. But I just used some perfect plastic putty, and I love that stuff because it's water-based, and you can really, you know, add a little water to it, make it a little softer if you need to, and it'll kind of get in there, and then you can just kind of wipe it off with a wet Q-tip. Here you can see all the other details going on here. He goes together perfect. Everything fits really nice. I didn't have any problems with anything not fitting right. This whole thing is made really good. There's his legs back here. There's his little tail. I love how these guys have tails. It's kind of cool. There he is. He almost looks like he's wearing like a Darth Vader helmet or something. It's kind of funny. But I really like this. Boy, this turned out really good. Way better than I thought he was going to. As I mentioned, once you put that paint on there, it really brings out all the great details on him. And it's just so nice to finally get a kit of these guys that is very accurate, and it's just really well done instead of these horrible garage kits made of resin. If you watched my Weems video, you have seen how rough those kits are. Here's the top of him. So yeah, this is really neat. I'm glad I went with the semi-gloss on this and not a dull coat, because I really think the dull coat would have really taken away some of the nice metallic colors on here. In fact, I know it would have. It would have dulled it down too much. But, if you look at Flotsom, he almost has a metallic blue. And this does almost look like a metallic blue, even though it was a medium blue. And I think maybe that semi-gloss kind of makes it more metallic, or adds to the sheen. Those little details behind his eyes, you actually don't end up seeing all of the stuff that you paint back there, but it's there, and I like it. Very cool seeing this, because I never really looked at Flotsom all that closely until this kit. But yeah, this is really cool. I love it. So now Weems has got his little brother Flotsom, and now I can start working on Jetsam. I have the Jetsam kit, and I already started working on her too, and I'm already starting to make that video. But anyway, I really love this kit. So if you want one of these, hit up Andy Valentine on Etsy. And if you have a 3D printer, you can make this yourself. It's really cool. And if you don't, ask him who you can get in contact with, who he can get you in contact with to print one of these for you. And if you want, you can have Jacob do it. I'll put Andy's and Jacob's information in the description. Jacob, I think he's on Instagram, and I think he's also on Discord, so I'll put his info for that on there. But there he is, little Flotsom. Alright, well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'd very much appreciate that. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one. And have a good one!